friends, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video, and I wanted to talk about the square between Neptune and the Sun and what happens when we see this in a natal chart. So the Sun is our vitality, our expression, our warmth, our energy, our ego, our sense of what we want to be appreciated for being, and how we want to be seen. Neptune is about the non-self, about the collective, about the spiritual, about mysteries, and is a boundary dissolver, and is about, sweetness, escapism, romance, things that are not clear, wishful things, dreams, things of that nature. And so all Sun-Neptune contacts are going to describe a certain level or amount of escape from the self. So the square is a very acute representation of that. And this square points to a certain level of dissociation from the self. The lack of ego structure that comes from this square creates boundary issues because we don't know who we are, we don't really know what we are about, because there is a practice of being what the environment seems to be demanding. So this one really creates some energetic leaks in somebody that allow others to really penetrate our space. The programming that is the real reason why this square exists, the programming that came on early in life really robbed the person with this particular square of the self-confidence that is required to be able to have a healthy sun, a healthy ego. The person was really not seen or appreciated or taught or allowed to be in full contact with their feelings. There is something going on in their background when you see the square that, looking at the rest of the chart, will give you a really good clue as to what that is. Why they were put in a position where they had to dissociate from their own self and their own feelings. A lot of times it was non-safety. The freedom to be yourself was just not there with this particular square. So people that have this learned early on to take clues, to pay very close attention to their environment regarding how they should behave or how they should feel. And a lot of times a pleaser has emerged out of this environment. And this is a real dishonest soup that people tend to have grown up with when they have this particular square. Now, significant stuff going on with Saturn can modify that, can show that things were maybe more upfront or on the table. Usually there was a lot of secrets when we have this particular square. It's, maybe it was a codependent, missing parent, a weak father, a missing father, an escapist or abandoning parent, an addictive parent. Somebody showed you how to deny yourself when you have this square, how to abandon yourself. And so there's a lack of respect for one's own reality that comes from this experience, a lack of respect for the reality of others. We were not respected with this particular square. We were not heard. We were not given that message, you are seen and important. And so it has now become a part of the adult programming, that is how we are going to behave now. And what happens is that people with this square are very much looking to control their environment. They want to control how others see and perceive them. And so a lot of pleasing behaviors start to come up. And, others' perceptions and judgments are so, so important to them because they see that as the reality. That is how they understand their own self. Their own perception of themselves, they're not in contact with that. But they are in real contact with how the environment and how others perceive them. So that's what they're looking to control, because that's where they think they're going to find that solution to the loneliness that is another side effect of the behaviors that stem from this particular square. And so they put on a real good show with this square that they don't even realize that they're putting on. They live a facade. And the sun is our most aware self. It is our most conscious planet. It is the one that's up there leading. Pluto represents the back, the unconscious. Neptune is back there as well. And so Neptune is, the anti-self. It's our dreams, our wishes, and what can't be seen, the mysteries. The sun is there. The sun is what's known. It's clear. It is supposed to be something that is clearly delineated. Whatever Neptune comes in contact with, it weakens. It makes porous. It gives it a sense of sensitivity. A lot of times too much sensitivity, because it makes it too objective rather than subjective. It makes it impersonal. The sun is personal. This is a painful position for the sun to be in contact with Neptune, because they are not friendly. They rob each other of what they are about. And so the influence of Neptune really robs the sun of its individuality, its sovereignty. And so the sun takes on a lot of the Neptunian qualities, which are being a victim, being a helper, being a dependent, one that's continually frustrated by the world. And this is coming from a place of needing to remain in the belief that we are lily white, we are the person with the square, that we are simply existing, and the world, the harshness of the world and the judgments of others, and actually of the self, are the problem. And by remaining in this position of victim or weak partner, or lonely seeking lover, that's really common too. Remaining in relationships and in positions where we can see others as the oppressors and us as the hapless victim. This is comfortable. This is what they know. Breaking out of this pattern is going to require getting in touch with our feelings and desires. It's going to require the unveiling of the sun. And this is going to be uncomfortable. This is going to require the ability and the willingness to live and exist and confront reality. We are not going to be able to tackle this square unless we make it real. And so this is one where these people have avoided themselves all of their lives. And they have avoided themselves out of a sense of shame. Neptune is the planet that instills shame. The sun is what we want to be seen as. So being seen is shameful. with this particular square. And so, they were unjustly shamed. They were unjustly embarrassed. They were sensitive children, and they were put in a position where they felt like they had to shrink. They had to hide their true self in order to survive. And so we are going to have to create a new thought process, a new neural pathway in order to combat this particular square and turn it into something positive. It doesn't happen overnight. Sun-Neptune contacts take a lot of reconditioning and a lot of redubbing those old tapes in order to get us into a place of success. So we have to learn to take on and handle the responsibility of being ourselves, because we weren't allowed to do that. We weren't taught to do that. We didn't get to practice that as children. We had to shift that. We have to shift our identity to somebody else. We had to learn to show up in perfect ways. And so we have to learn to tell the truth about ourselves. We have to learn to understand, come into contact with, and feel who we really are, what we really want, what we are specifically and individually about. And this is how we make Neptune real in our lives. There is a deep and terrifying loneliness associated with Neptune contacts, and that is really the underlying fear here. It's there's a fear of feeling the shame, but ultimately there is a fear of loneliness that sits beneath that shame and drives this whole square into action. And so this aspect really demands that we tell the truth about our expression. We show what that is. We identify what that is. We tell it. We be ourselves. Because expressing us as individuals is the only way that is going to bring us that connection that we're looking for so desperately and going about in very ill ways. We have to reacquaint ourselves with ourselves. And I like to say, when it has to do with Neptune, what we repress will depress. What we reveal will heal. And so we have to forgive ourselves for the fact that we disassociated with ourselves. We abandoned our own selves. We haven't been honest about who we are, what we want, what's really going on with us, what we're really feeling, what we really think about you. We have to forgive ourselves for dissociating from our own heart and our own soul. And we have been selling out. We have to come to a place where we can accept that we came from some conditioning that was off. Now we have the tools to move forward. If we can't forgive ourselves, then we will remain in that whirlpool of shame that created this problem. So we have to make a new reality by showing reality and coming into contact with that and proving that for ourselves. And then we learn that reality does have what we're looking for. It is a place we want to be. We don't have to dissociate that in order to create something that's acceptable for us. We don't have to spend so much time in fantasy life or daydreaming or associating with people who don't even exist. We can come to a place of being grounded because we have the tools and the ability to show up in the world in a way that is whole and brave and secure, and there is no shame associated with it. So hiding behind that Neptune veil is not necessary anymore. Now we have all of the sensitivities, all of the good stuff associated with Neptune. We have the real ability to be good, to be kind, to be sensitive, to be helpful, because it's coming from a place of realness. It's not coming from a place of neediness where I need you to validate me. That is not, that's not good behavior. That is not the kind of behavior that you think you're exhibiting when you have not dealt with this particular square. You're coming from a place of selfishness and of neediness and of, I'm going to do this for you so you will see me. It's not about them. When you can own your own self, then it does become about them. Then you do become that super, super giving person. So I hope this was helpful and brought some light to this very complicated square. I'll be tackling the in conjunction next, which is probably even more difficult to live with. You can find me on the internet at truthinaspectastrology.com. Yes, I do private consultation. You can find me on Facebook at Truth in Aspect Astrology. And I am mainly a relationship and intimacy astrologer, but I do all types of chart readings under the sun. And I will be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.